Shout outs to Co, Christina again, Marie, Brianna, Cheryl, Jennifer, Natalie, Paul, Sharia, Dylan, LD, Alicia, Jordan, and Rachel. Thank you guys so much for booking, and Sam, for booking 30-minute and 1 hour on my website, tonybomboni.com. If you book a 30-minute or hour with me, I will shout your first name out in the beginning of a video. Thank you guys for your support lately on this channel. So, let's begin. Today is going to be a soft-spoken life advice, a type of video on specifically stress and anxiety. And it's been a minute since I did this. I think this was one of the first videos I did on YouTube, and a lot of people actually enjoyed it, and that's when I decided to continue doing advice-y type of videos, because I'm a Virgo and we're pretty good at counseling. We're pretty good at therapeutic advice. Really, we are. And that's what I incorporate a lot in my tarot readings and stuff. Like, I'm gotta toot my own horn. I think I'm pretty good at giving advice, by now. And I've always been told I'm an old soul, I've been giving advice since a kid, basically, so, ciao. But anyway, so Taylor wanted hand movements, and incorporate rain sounds in the back, so hopefully I remember to include rain sounds. I have a post-it note in front of me so I can remember, but yeah, so basically, some advice here on dealing with stress and anxiety. So, before that, if you'd like to book your own custom ASMR like this one, make sure you check me out, tonybomboni.com, links below. Okay, now I can start. So, first of all, stress and anxiety is like always merged together as one and the same kind of entity, which I often do not agree with. Just like anxiety and depression, I feel like everyone wants to slap on the label of anxiety with something else, because if you just diagnose someone with anxiety, it's like crickets, like, okay. But then if you make another word, it slap next to it, it's like it all of a sudden makes sense, okay? Because, anxiety, I just want to point out, is just fear. Nothing else. It's just fear, right? And we have a lot of fear. There's, a lot of reasons to fear in our day-to-day life. Not so much as in the caveman times, but nonetheless, we fear sometimes, right? So, with that being regarded, oftentimes our brain is in that fight or flight response because we are no longer in those caveman times. Our brain still thinks we are, though, because we haven't evolved that part of ourself where we're not really quite aliens and astral beings yet, but we're not quite cavemen anymore either, right? We're sort of in between on our evolutionary scale of existence. So until we kind of train our mind to separate the fear, it's always going to take over. I used to suffer with chronic anxiety to the point where I couldn't even go to the grocery store some days. I had to push myself out of the house. It made it easier to just stay home all the time and make excuses not to leave, Like, to me, it was even odd going for a walk by myself. Like, I felt like it was basically like a fear of judgment. When I realized that, I'm like, no one's looking at you. No one cares about you, We are so small. They're going to notice that big building next to you rather than you, They're not going to focus on you messing up or dropping something or spilling something on yourself, It was always like a fear of how do I look? Are people staring at me? Are they looking at me funny? Do I walk weird? Is my posture funny? So, when we let that go, we realize no one really gives a SHIT. They don't know you. They don't care about you. They could care less. They're just trying to walk by you, complete stranger in the store going about their day. They really honestly could care less, right? When you come to realize that, a lot of fear goes away. So I think a lot of people have that kind of fear. Even for like job interviews and one-on-one stuff, like, a lot of people unfortunately mistakenly don't book my services because they think it's a Zoom call for some reason. To this day, people still think my services are a video chat or a phone call. No, you do not call me, right? So I do that on purpose because it's still personal. A recorded session is still very personal, and that's what I want people to understand. A live session is not personal because you're chatting to thousands of people. It's a personal session because I'm only sending it to you and I'm only talking to you, So, so people don't want to book because they think it's a live session because of anxiety, and I get that most frequently. No, there's nothing to fear. I do it for your comfort, privacy, and convenience. So, with that said, you can argue and say, okay, that's fine and all, but like people still have the anxiety. It doesn't solve the problem, right? So let me get to that. So the anxiety portion of it, like with a Zoom call, I get it. I've been interviewed by media, big names in media. Like that was even back in the days when I had massive anxiety, like talking to Netflix, Fox News, ABC News. Oh my gosh, like, my knees were clacking, right? Business Insider, all those. And it's nerve-wracking, right? But you kind of have to find a middle ground. You have to realize, okay, they're interviewing many other people. It's not just me. They're not going to look at if there's something funny on my face. They're too busy focusing on their notes. They're maybe self-conscious too, right? Worried if you're going to judge them, right? Because they don't know who they're getting, who they're interviewing. So that is, an easier way to go about it and realize they're human too, right? And I think that's part of the big reason why there's such a massive rush for this AI and technology, and this is my opinion, is because of we humans like to suppress that emotions that are so uncomfortable, that bother us so deeply. And I forgot to include hand movements. They said occasional hand movements, so I could do it occasionally, but and we just like to suppress and kick down feelings that feel so bad. And I think we'd rather talk to a robot or a machine than a human. And then we're gonna look back 50 years from now and regret it when we realize there's no more human touch or contact or anything, We're not gonna be around in 50 years. We're gonna be merged with that thing or non-existent. We all know what's coming. We're not dumb. But does that solve anything, right? Are we making things out of fear, right? That never has a positive result, right? So I don't think any of this is the answer. I think we really need to work on ourselves first and foremost. And how the anxiety went away from me, thankfully, was it just went away with time and age. Sometimes that happens, and I've always been told my condition was social anxiety, that social anxiety will go away with time. And it did, right? I became more comfortable to the point I didn't give a SHIT anymore. I could literally lick ice cream making weird faces in front of someone and not give a damn. Like, it's just gotten to that point. So, yeah. And I think like all these like phones, like, if people staring at their phones, they feel so uncomfortable to be in public. And I get it. Like I said, that was me at one point. But also, someone could record you with their phone now, right? So there's two ends of the spectrum of fear. So until you address fear, you're basically looking at life through the lens of fear, right? Until you address that and face that, you're always going to be finding things to fear. Because anxiousness, anxiety, is also, it looks like, I'm so uncomfortable, I'm going to find something else to fear that's maybe softer or gentler. Like, oh, what if this falls on me? That's probably maybe a softer fear than what if I have to speak in front of thousands of people, right? Or give a speech or presentation, right? So someone gave me solid advice once, and it was just do it, right? Like the Nike logo, just do it, right? Just face it. The longer you wait, the more you're gonna feel fear. And I feel this is valid with like speeches too. Because if you're waiting to be picked last, you're gonna be sitting there sweating and so uncomfortable unless you just rip the band-aid and do it first. Get it done first. And ever since that valuable lesson, I think I learned it in a book. That's why reading is so important. I have always been the first. I'm like, pick me, right? Pick me. I don't care about being called a pick me person, right? First, right? Because I used to be the one picked last, like in gym class, the scrawny, skinny kid with the crooked back, right? Crooked teeth and big nose, right? Like, I was so self-conscious, big eyebrows. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was always the last to be selected. And I think because of that fear, that made me very, with time, attention-seeking. And finding behaviors like that so that I could be picked because I was never picked first growing up, you know. And, you know, you have to find the root cause where this stems from. Why are you so afraid, you know? And for me, again, it was judgment because people were judging me, my looks, and being like, he's not going to play basketball or soccer well. I'm not going to pick him. You know, he always just stands there and talks to his friends. I'm not going to pick him. So, yeah, I didn't feel like I had value or use to people or society. So, you know, find what that is for you. And so I'm getting to stress now. So a lot of times stress, if you're like, let's say diagnosed with like stress and anxiety, or you self-diagnose, which I guess is never a good idea, but it is what it is. Not everyone can afford therapy or health insurance, but lucky to the 75% other of my audience who does not live in the US, I guess. Yeah, but, well, not so lucky with how much taxes they pay, but nonetheless, you know, we all end up paying out of pocket regardless, right? It all ends up the same. No one is luckier or better off, truthfully. I've learned that in life. But anyway, moving on. So, basically, you can have a lot of stress added to your life and on your plate if you are constantly in fear. You know, imagine just constantly like having a feeling of being in a haunted house. Like, oh my God, what an awful, miserable existence. Again, I've been there. It's like that constant, like palm sweating, like constant tightness of the chest, like fear grips you. It's almost like an underworld entity energy. It really is. It's almost like an entity attachment. It's so bad, you know, because it just won't lose its grip on you. And I would say, you know, if you want to try prayer, that helps. You know, incorporate some cleansing, you know, use sage, incense, whatever, selenite wand. Ever since I included crystals in my life, I find that it's helped a bit, at least, not completely. At the time I'm talking when I had like extreme anxiety, like black tourmaline and smoky quartz combined, did help me and helped keep me grounded and protected. And that helped clear any energies that are low vibration. Because when you're constantly feeling low vibration, you're attracting more things low vibration. So, like a fear entity or energy. So sometimes it just stems from you needing your protections, you know. So, so yeah, that definitely will compound stress. Sometimes when it's the opposite, so it's not only just a long time of feeling anxious that leads you to feeling stress. Sometimes it's a long time feeling stress, which is in my case now. Kind of the tables have reversed, right? The roles have switched. Where you feel a lot of stress for a long time to the point where you're feeling anxious and worried that you will be stressed or something else will trigger your stress again. You see what I'm saying? Or you're going to feel so much stress it affects your health. Or you felt already so much stress, it already affected your health, and you're anxious that it's going to affect more health issues. So it's a constant never-ending loop. That's why even anxiety and worry is basically one and the same. Worry is fear. You're worried that there will be another reason to fear, right? So I'm telling you the definitions mostly for this video because it helps to know first what it is, to define the issue you're dealing with, right? If I tell you I have GERD, which I do, it's not because I'm trying to show off I have GERD. Or, no, I'm telling you, it is eating and eroding the esophagus, it is acid, it is uncomfortable, I have to eat different, right? So you have to define it, is what I'm trying to say, okay, before you treat it. If you don't know what's going on, you're just guessing, you're not going to really solve the problem. So definition is important to healing. Okay, so with stress now. What are you so stressed about? Why are you stressing from everything? And again, I'm talking from experience, not pulling things out of my bum. I'm telling you. Why are you stressing so much? Are you stressing about someone else's problem, right? What is the point of that? Because people, let me tell you, all my friends, all the people I know online, they're going through hell right now. They're going through their own personal issues. There is not one person I know right now in my life that's going through it good. They are all going through it right now. And I feel for them. And I guess, sometimes God gives certain people in your life at a certain time to reach out. I've noticed like a lot of people from my past have been reaching out to me lately. Because when you're going through a good time, you're able to help people going through a bad time, So, maybe that's the case in this scenario too. With Taylor, with anyone else, maybe you feel there's something I can provide to you during this time to help you. And I'm certain I can. I'm confident in my abilities, but let me tell you this, you also are going to go through good times. But you almost have to push yourself to get there, right? Because no one's just going to give you happiness on a plate, right? No one's just going to give you happiness on a plate. You got to choose them. Even all my clients I work with, the ones that did the best and succeeded in finding their true peace and calling in life, are not the ones asking me the same question, reading after reading after reading after reading after reading. That's fine. You still get insight. But it's the ones who are realizing they also can heal. Right? It doesn't mean they don't book a service again. It just means they also can find the choice to decide if they should move on from this person, if should they move on from this job, if should they move houses or sell their house, just change their life completely, right? It's a decision. It doesn't come to when is the right time? Is it the month of May? Is it the month of July? It will come to a time where you realize now is the answer, right? Those are the ones who have truly healed and found use of not only my services, but just in general, inner guidance, right? I'm always here not to have people rely and depend on me. I'm here to tell you, it comes from you. It comes from within. Everything truly does. Peace, healing, happiness, stress relief, anxiety relief, right? Once you find the root cause, oh, maybe I am overreacting. Oh, maybe I am stressing too much. Oh, maybe I'm bored. I'm not saying that's the case for you, but maybe I'm bored. That was for me too. And I need drama in my life. Right? Right? Yeah. Maybe for me, like I said, maybe for you as well, it was attention-seeking behavior because of boredom and a lack of value, a lack of worth. Maybe I needed to stop giving myself a problem. Right? So, what is the root cause? I can't say what it is for every poopsie involved, but figure it out. Write it down. I always recommend writing things down. So, figure one out. Stress or anxiety. Pick one. Pick and choose, right? Work on that first. Tackle one at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself, all right? Maybe you realize you're not so stressed after all. You're not so anxious after all. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you have a fear that you're going to feel stress and anxiety, right? Pinpoint it. What is it? Ask yourself. Meditate on it. Close your eyes. Reflect on what that could look like for you. So I hope that helped you. This is advice in a different way. I'm not here to tell you work with amethyst. I'm not here to tell you go talk to a friend. This is a different kind of advice, right, than I provided before. We're tackling things from a different angle this time. And let's see how it works with that mindset in mind. So, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, Taylor, for booking a 15-minute custom ASMR video. Thank you, Poopsies, for watching. If you'd like to book your own custom ASMR, TonyBomboni.com, links below. And I will see you all very soon, my loves. Bye, guys.